second map here, and Match Point is another really good map for TVT. It's quite hard though. With the way the natural's laid out, you can use tanks to actually sort of shell down on the minerals of the SUVs over the cliff. So if your opponent goes for something like a 2-factor or even a proxy factory is very good on this map, it's actually very hard to defend without siege yourself. So even going an early starport's actually quite useful if you sort of want to defend against that kind of rush.
I do think that this map will generally favor more of a split map style of TVT, considering that it does have two very high grounds that cover the majority of each side of the map. You know, those big high grounds with the big bridges, those are very hard to engage directly with ground against ground, but they are also at the same time very far away from each other. So that kind of, if both players establish themselves well in the mid game, I expect to see a long split map scenario here. And this is also doubly true if a person's behind. If a person establishes himself in the high ground in the center, there's multiple levels of narrow passages and bridges that need to be traversed with ground in order to establish, in order to break a position. Definitely we'll see the person who's taking on the back foot go for more air, I think, on this map.
It wouldn't surprise me if this map started off with Vulture versus Vulture. Vultures are actually very good on this map purely because the mines are good on any map really, but especially in TVT, the really early mobility is such an important tool to have in this matchup. If you can get the mines in the right places, use your vultures to sort of keep the other player back, it allows you to set up a really strong position early on. And if you're quick enough and your vulture control is good enough against the other players, if you take that high ground pod above your sort of opponent's third, it's very hard for them to actually do anything. So HiyA showing from the last game not too afraid of going a more aggressive TVT style. We could actually see a good amount of vultures coming out from him and go for a very early hard contain. Could even see a sort of siege tank down on that natural as well. So it'll be nice to see how their style really suits the map, what they can do with it. And 14cc, as we saw from FlaSh in the previous game, is actually quite risky to do on match as well.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of places you can BBS, and even just a single proxy racks that can actually be very, very dangerous.
Going into game 2, we have HiyA on the bottom left as the red Terran.
And up there in the top right, of course this is a 2-player map, we do have KT Roasters FlaSh.
So, I want to expand a little bit on what you said about it being very risky to 14cc on this map. The two main reasons that I see: first of all, not only will it always get scouted first, secondly, it will also be easily shelled from the outside by siege tanks uphill. So mining from that natural could become difficult. It's a problem that Protoss face on this map quite often against aggressive Terran play. So I definitely don't see FlaSh going for a 14cc again.
Especially coming off the back of a loss as well.
Oh.
You need to play a lot more conservative in a series if you've actually lost. But we do actually see 2 SCVs leaving the base of FlaSh, heading off to the middle of the map. We're going to see a BBS here.
Yeah, going from economic cheese into actual cheese. This it seems to me like he sent them out a little bit too late. He's going to probably produce both racks at the same time. Usually you build one and then the other SCV catches up. So you get a little bit more marine count, lose a little bit less mining time, if I'm understanding it correctly. But it looks like his timing is actually pretty good. I think he's going to build them on the high ground here just as it hits 300, maybe a little bit over.
Yeah, the only place you can build them on the high ground is just up there, but I mean, this is a very good place to put them in. I've even seen people go proxy 2. One game, actually, I remember from this map is I'm fairly certain it was Bravo against Fantasy. Bravo actually went BBS into proxy 2 fact into 2-port Wraith, which was a sight to behold, really. I mean, you don't really get plays like that on a lot of maps, but due to the amount of sort of buildable terrain above the other of your opponent's natural, a lot of sort of really weird proxy buildings you can put up. And we actually see a semi-wall-in going on back in HiyA's base, scared of a possible, or back in FlaSh's base even, scared of a possible vulture run by later on.
And the game that you were just describing really reminds me of the Boxer versus HiyA game that we saw. Uh, that was on Blue Storm, where Boxer went into Marine Medic, into some proxy depots all around the map, then into factories and stuff like that. So Terran versus Terran, despite being hailed as the most boring matchup, definitely still has the possibility of creating some exciting moments, especially when one player goes really aggressive like this.
Yeah, FlaSh is only now getting his gas. I mean, getting the gas now is quite standard given the fact he's gone BBS. He's actually building up a decent marine count before he moves in. Unfortunately for him, HiyA isn't making the mistake he did and isn't going for any form of fast expansion. So HiyA, while only having a few marines himself, is actually going to be able to hold this as long as he can keep hold long enough for his factory to complete. But FlaSh's marines are moving in.
This run by, though, very strong. Great stop micro here with the SCVs using the damage. I don't think that was enough damage to justify this. He's going to use the positioning to his advantage here. Great play here from...
Yeah, HiyA's micro here has been really, really good with his SCVs. He's actually going to pull back knowing that his factory's almost done. And there's not really going to be too much that FlaSh's Marines can actually do here. So FlaSh in a very bad position. And an SCV is actually taking out the supply depot. And a very, very good defense here by HiyA. HiyA showing some really strong play to be able to defend here while losing very minimal SCVs.
And HiyA, the one that is up in Marine count now. He sent out some panic Marines. The Vulture is on the way. The SCV has been attacking the depot in the natural of FlaSh. Finally now going to go scout, maybe?
One thing that would be very clever from HiyA is to actually build a semi-wall there. Try and build another building to block any possible wall from FlaSh. And then all he needs to do is run his Vulture over there and then cancel the wall. There's going to be too much FlaSh can actually do about it. The Vulture is out. There is 4 Marines from FlaSh, but with some good control, there is 3 Marines and a Vulture. This could be very bad for FlaSh. FlaSh may actually just lose it right here.
Well, there's a little bit more Marines behind where those two were, so the Vulture is going to pull back for now. I definitely would have liked to see that idea that you were talking about. I would have built that racks right under the depot and wall him in and get ready for a full-on contain after that. But it doesn't seem to be the case. He's repairing his Vulture, he's getting ready to move out again, and meanwhile, FlaSh is abandoning his position entirely. Gonna use one barracks to scout, one barracks to fly back, and I guess keep it safe. Maybe check for air pathways.
We're about to see 2 port Wraith as well. 1 port is up, and the second SCV has been waiting there for a while to actually sort of build that. So a very good choice, knowing that the barracks are going to have to fly away. There's not really going to be too much anti-air back at FlaSh's base, so HiyA really having FlaSh's number here.
Great read by him. It's the counter to the counter, I think. Well, not the counter to the counter, it's the perfect counter, let's say. Vultures to kill the Marines, and then Wraiths to take advantage of the lack of air, and the fact that FlaSh most definitely is going to be forced to invest into ground to hold these Vultures in the first place.
Yeah, so FlaSh has actually got Vultures himself now, covering that. He should probably actually move up to this ramp at the natural, because fighting on even ground with a lower Vulture count is actually going to be quite unfavourable for him. He does have the Marines there, but more Marines are coming higher, and when these Wraiths come out, if he doesn't have his armory up in time, he's going to be in a lot of trouble.
And FlaSh, I think, getting a little cocky, he's placing his barracks down in the main base of HiyA instead of using it to scout around. If he had kept scouting, he might have seen these ports in time, and the first Wraith is out, the next 2 are on the way. So it's do or die right now for FlaSh. He has to be ready for this anti-air, and he's only adding depots. I don't see any anti-air on the way. Yeah,
he's actually gone to add a second factory on as well. A really nice actual set of targeting there from FlaSh will make it make the Vulture count even. But with these Marines going down, he could be in a lot of trouble. Not actually opting to build a Marine in that barracks in his main base either, or in HiyA's main base, which I would actually say is quite a mistake. If he would have managed to get a Marine out, he may have been able to kill at least 1 SCV, which is quite a good tactic to use in PvT. We only now see the armory going up as well, and while there's only 1 Wraith at the moment, these 2 other Wraiths are coming in. That's going to be incredibly difficult for him to hold with no anti-air. But they could actually cancel this armory indefinitely if he plays this well.
I would like to see the barracks land and form a wall, so this Vulture that is running in would not be able to get in, so he could focus entirely on anti-air, but I feel like he's losing too many SCVs and he GG's.
Yeah, he was in a very bad position there. There wasn't too much that FlaSh could have actually done. if he'd have got his armory a little bit earlier, which obviously the BBS did put him behind, he may have been able to hold, because